Captured monster Kayla stood in front of the thick glass wall, staring at the human on the other side. He was sitting quietly, hands chained, head down. The cold light above him made the bruises on his face look darker. He had not spoken a word since he arrived. This was the first human Kayla had ever seen in real life. She had heard stories, of course. Every Ziran child grew up listening to tales of the monsters from the blue planet. Stories of burning cities, poisoned skies, and endless war. Humans were described as cruel, greedy, dangerous creatures who destroyed their own world. And now they wanted to destroy others, but the man in the cell didn't look like a monster. He looked tired. Is he alive? Kayla asked the guard beside her. The guard grunted. Barely. But don't let your guard down. Humans are tricky. Quiet today. Deadly tomorrow. Kayla nodded but kept watching. The human hadn't moved in the last 10 minutes. His name, according to the report, was Eli. He was captured during a failed infiltration near the border of the Ziran colony on Moonbase 4. The rest of his team had died. He was the only one who survived, or maybe the only one who surrendered. Kayla had just been assigned to study him, not to talk, not to help. Just observe and report. But curiosity itched in her mind. She entered the observation room. The door hissed behind her as she stepped into the silence. Eli didn't look up. She took a breath. My name is Kayla. I'll be monitoring you. No response. She took a seat across from him, placing a small tablet on the table. Still nothing. Eli's eyes were fixed on the floor and his hands, though chained, were relaxed. There was no sign of aggression, no anger, just stillness. Do you understand me? She tried again. He blinked slowly. Then, finally, he spoke. His voice was hoarse, quiet. Yes. Kayla almost flinched. There was something strange about hearing a human speak in her language. It was like hearing a ghost. Good, she said, recovering quickly. I'll begin with a few questions. Standard procedure. He didn't nod, but he didn't resist either. She activated the recorder. Subject, human male, captured at Moonbase 4. Name, Eli. Status, alive. Cooperative. Interview 1. Starting now. She leaned forward. Why were you near the colony? Searching, Eli said. For what? He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Hope. Kayla frowned. Hope? Is that some kind of code? Eli looked at her for the first time. His eyes were pale gray and they weren't filled with hate or fear. They were just tired. It's not a code, he said. It's what we lost a long time ago. Kayla paused. Her training told her to be careful. Humans lied. Humans manipulated. They used words like weapons. But this one didn't sound like he was lying. Your people started the war, Kayla said, watching his reaction. Eli's face didn't change. Maybe. Or maybe everyone just forgot how to talk. Kayla didn't like the answer. It wasn't what she expected. You destroyed your own world. Now you want ours? We didn't destroy it, he said. We let it die. What's the difference? Guilt, he said softly. Kayla looked at the chain around his wrist. The skin underneath was red. You could try to fight. Escape, she said. Why would I? He asked. What would I go back to? For a moment the room felt heavy. Kayla didn't know what to say. This wasn't how the stories went. Humans were supposed to scream, curse, threaten, not sit in silence and speak like broken statues. Do you fear us? She asked. Eli didn't answer immediately. Then he gave a small smile, sad and tired. You fear us? He said. Kayla stiffened. We don't fear monsters. We study them. Is that what I am? He asked, looking into her eyes. A monster? The question hit harder than she expected. She had asked it with authority. He had returned it with honesty. She stood up. This session is over. As she walked to the door, Eli's voice followed her. You're not the first one to call me that, he said. But you might be the first to wonder if it's true. The door closed behind her with a hiss. Outside, Kayla leaned against the wall. For a moment, she touched her chest, right above the place her heart was supposed to be cold. She didn't like the way it felt warm. The quiet prisoner. The rain on the metal roof made a soft ticking sound, like a broken clock struggling to keep time. Inside the holding facility, everything was still. Sterile lights, white walls, and silence so thick it felt like a presence. Kayla stood behind the glass again. Day 4. Eli had barely moved since yesterday. Same posture, same stillness. It was like he had turned to stone. But it wasn't laziness or defeat. No. There was something purposeful in his silence. He was waiting. For what? She didn't know. And that made her uneasy. She had reviewed his file twice before coming down. Former combat engineer, high intellect, served under the Human Alliance's Black Ops Division, survived 6 battles in hostile zones. His record was full of redacted lines and classified stamps. Yet here he was, quiet, calm, as if the war didn't exist anymore. Kayla entered the room. He didn't look up. Again, she sat down in the chair across from him. This time she didn't bring a tablet. No interview, no questions, just silence. 2 minutes passed. 3, 5. Then she finally spoke. "Why won't you look at me?" Eli shifted slightly. His eyes lifted just a bit, not toward her but toward the corner of the room. "Because if I do," he said softly, "I'll start seeing you as a person." Kayla blinked. That wasn't the answer she expected. He continued, voice calm but dry like ash. "If I start seeing you as a person, then I have to feel everything." "Feel what?" "The guilt, the hate, the loss, the things we did to each other." Kayla leaned forward. "Then why did you come here? Why show up at the edge of our colony?" A pause. Eli's jaw clenched, as if the words tasted bitter. "I came looking for something we lost a long time ago." Kayla crossed her arms. "Hope?" Eli gave a dry chuckle. "No. Worse. Worse than hope. Forgiveness." The word hit like a silent explosion. Kayla didn't know how to respond. Forgiveness wasn't part of war. It wasn't in the training, manuals, or strategy plans. It wasn't in any of the stories she grew up with. But here was a human, a monster, speaking like a monk. "You think we'll forgive you?" she asked coldly. Eli looked at her now, fully. His eyes were pale, but deep like a frozen sea with something dark sleeping underneath. "No," he said. "I think you'll kill me." Kayla stood up suddenly. "Then why not run? Because if one of you hears me, really hears me, maybe that's enough." For the first time, Kayla's hands trembled, just a little. Before she could answer, the door hissed open behind her. Commander Vreck stepped in, tall, armored, cold as stone. "Agent Kayla," he said, "you are not authorized to continue unsupervised contact." Kayla straightened. "Sir, I was following—" "You're dismissed." She hesitated, glancing at Eli one last time. He didn't blink, didn't speak. The door closed. That night, Kayla couldn't sleep. Images played in her mind. The war footage, the training drills, the lectures about human brutality. But now something new was creeping into the edges of those memories. Eli's voice, his eyes, the look of a man carrying a weight he didn't know how to put down. The next day, she wasn't assigned to observation duty. She went anyway. She hacked her own access chip to get in. Inside the room, Eli looked up the moment she entered. This time, he was waiting for her. Kayla didn't sit. She walked around him slowly, observing him like a puzzle with missing pieces. "You're not broken," she said quietly. Eli smirked. "Everyone breaks eventually. The question is, what's left afterward?" Kayla finished. Eli looked up, surprised. She sat down. This time, she asked a question not from protocol. "What happened to your squad?" The room fell cold. Eli looked down at his hands. "They died saving a Xeran child." Kayla's breath caught. Why? She asked. Because the kid was crying. And my captain, he had a son back home. Same age. You expect me to believe that? I don't care what you believe, he said. I was there, I buried them myself. Silence. But not the awkward kind. The heavy kind. The kind that changes people. 3 rooms away, Commander Vrex watched. The footage, his eyes narrowed. She's getting too close, he said to his aide. Should we intervene? Not yet, Vrex replied. Let's see how deep she goes. In the days that followed, Kayla kept visiting. Not officially, not recorded. Each time she learned a little more. Eli talked in fragments, broken memories, names of lost friends, places that no longer existed, and every time he spoke, the monster inside him seemed to fade, revealing a human being beneath the armor of pain. But one question haunted her now. What if everything she had been taught was wrong? Stories and scars. The walls of the holding chamber were quiet, too quiet. No cameras moved. No guards stood nearby. No footsteps echoed down the hall. Kayla had made sure of that. For the first time since his capture, Eli sat unchained. His wrists were still marked with deep red lines where the cuffs had been. He rubbed them slowly, almost absent-mindedly, as if the pain reminded him he was still alive. Kayla stood near the doorway, her posture tense. This is against protocol, she said. Eli looked up, his voice calm. Then why are you here? She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the chair across from him and sat down. She reached into her coat and pulled out a small piece of cloth, a human photo, slightly burned at the edges. Old. She slid it across the table. In it, Eli stood beside 3 others, soldiers in dark armor, smiling in front of a ruined building. In the background, a child with big black eyes clutched a small stuffed toy. A Ziran child. Eli looked at the photo but didn't touch it. Kayla spoke quietly. You never told me her name. Eli's jaw tightened. Her name was Lyra. Did she survive? We thought she did. Kayla leaned forward. What happened? Eli stared at the picture for a long time. Then he closed his eyes. We found her during a scouting mission. Orphaned, hungry, terrified. My captain ordered a temporary shelter. Said we'd drop her near the peace line once the path was clear. He opened his eyes again. 2 hours. Later, Ziran drones bombed the zone. Kayla's breath caught. Friendly fire? She asked. Eli laughed once, short and hollow. If it was, no one claimed it. My captain died covering her with his own body. Silence. This time, even Kayla didn't know what to say. And Lyra, she asked, vanished in the chaos. Eli's hand trembled slightly as he picked up the photo. But she lived, he whispered. I know she did. Kayla felt something shift inside her. Not sympathy, something deeper, something uncomfortable. Doubt. Later that evening, Kayla sat alone in the base library. Accessing restricted files was forbidden without permission, but curiosity had grown claws inside her, sharp ones. Her fingers hovered over the console before she typed in a keyword. Operation Duskfield, drone strike, child casualty. Results. 1 classified file found. Access. Restricted. She bypassed. The firewall. The report opened with images, explosions, flames, pieces of armor, and in the corner of one shot, a tiny toy animal covered in ash. Kayla's stomach turned. The file claimed the drones mistook human signals for insurgent tech. But then something caught her eye. A message log. An order from Commander Vrex. Terminate. All contacts. Witnesses must not reach negotiation zone. Kayla's hands froze. It hadn't been friendly fire. It had been a cover-up. The next day, Kayla didn't speak when she entered the cell. Eli watched her. Quietly. Curiously. You know, she said, her voice lower than usual. They told us humans were monsters. Eli didn't respond. They never said we were capable of the same things. Still silence. Do you have scars? She asked suddenly. Eli raised an eyebrow. What kind? The real kind. He didn't answer right away. Then, slowly, he pulled up his shirt. Kayla stared. A long, jagged scar stretched across his ribs, deep and uneven, signs of field surgery, near death. "Got this protecting Lyra," he said softly. "A drone shrapnel blade went through me." He turned slightly to reveal another scar, a circular mark burned near his spine. "That one?" Zirin interrogation. "Before your people figured out I wasn't lying." Kayla looked down at her own hands. Her gloves hid no wounds, no burns, no pain. But inside, something was breaking. Outside the chamber, 2 guards waited. Commander Vrex stepped into view. "Enough," he said. "Pull her from assignment." His aide hesitated. "Sir, she's close to—" "Exactly," Vrex growled. "Too close." Back inside, Kayla stood. "They're going to move you soon," she said. "Transfer? Interrogation?" Eli nodded. Slowly. "Then I don't have much time." "Time for what?" He looked straight into her eyes. "To tell you what really happened during the last battle." Kayla frowned. "We know what happened. You invaded—" "No," Eli said. "You only know what they told you." He leaned closer. "You have 5 levels of security clearance, Kayla. But there's a 6th, the Red Channel. It stores things even your commanders don't admit to." Kayla narrowed her eyes. "How do you know about that?" Eli smiled faintly. "Because I've seen what's in it." He slid the photo of Lyra across the table again. She was the key. The reason we came. Not for war, for rescue. Kayla's world tilted. "Rescue from what?" Eli stood up slowly. "From you. Enemies don't cry." The rain outside had turned black, not from clouds, but from the smoke of nearby furnaces. The Zirin base had begun preparations for a rumored assault, though no official word had come. The tension was thick, like gravity had grown heavier overnight. Kayla walked down the dim hallway, her boots echoing too loud. Something was wrong. The guards who usually stood outside the holding chamber were gone, and when she entered, Eli was bleeding. His lip was split. A fresh bruise swelled beneath his eye. He sat slumped in the corner, chained again. Kayla rushed forward. "Who did this?" He didn't answer. Her hands hovered over him, unsure if she should touch him or just stay back. "Eli," she said, voice sharp. "Who did this?" His voice came out dry, hollow. "You're not supposed to care, remember?" Her fists clenched. "I said something wrong," Eli added. "I mentioned the Red Channel. Now they think I planted something." Kayla looked up at the security cameras. Red lights blinked slowly. Watchers in the dark. She whispered, "I'll get you medical help." "They won't let you," he replied. "I'll make them." A beat passed. He looked at her, something fragile in his expression. "Why?" he asked. Kayla opened her mouth, but the answer didn't come. Why did she care? Why had she broken protocol to see him again and again? Why had she searched secret archives, risked her position, lied to her superiors? Was it guilt? Curiosity? Or was it the quiet truth rising inside her like a distant scream? That maybe he wasn't the monster. Maybe they were. That night, Kayla returned to her quarters, locked the door, and activated a cracked data pad. An old model, untraceable. She had found the Red Channel, and what it contained changed everything. Recordings, audio logs, intercepted human signals. None of them spoke of invasion. They spoke of rescue missions. Secret messages from human scouts warning of Zirin experiments on children. Locations where humans had found abandoned Zirin colonies with signs of bioweapons testing. But the worst was a video. Blurry, shaky footage, a human squad, including Eli, entering a ruined Zirin building. Inside, dozens of children. Weak, malnourished, trapped. In the background, Kayla recognized the symbol of her own commanders, division, and there, in the far corner of the footage, a child clutching a worn stuffed toy. Black eyes. Small hands. Lyra Kayla stared at the screen until her eyes burned. He wasn't lying. Morning came with cold alarms and a knock on her door. "Agent Kayla," a voice said. "You're requested for re-evaluation. Come with us." Two armed guards stood waiting, her stomach twisted. "May I ask why?" "Your recent activity has been flagged for review. Please cooperate." She nodded calmly, but inside everything screamed. Meanwhile, deep in the detention wing, Eli sat in the dark. A voice crackled in through a hidden speaker. "Commander Virax, the girl's not coming back." Eli said nothing. "She let you get too close," Vrex continued. "That was her mistake." A pause. "Now we're going to fix it." Eli tilted his head. "You mean erase it?" Vrex chuckled. "You're smarter than most. Shame you're human." "You're afraid of the truth," Eli said. "No," Vrex replied. "We're afraid of what truth will do to the order we've built." Silence. Then the speaker clicked off, and Eli was alone again. Kayla sat in a small white room with mirrored walls. Interrogation, masked as evaluation. A drone hovered silently in the corner, recording. A female officer entered, not high-ranking, just a puppet. "Agent Kayla," she began. "You've accessed restricted files without clearance. Care to explain?" Kayla didn't blink. "Yes." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Yes?" "Yes, I accessed them, and I'd do it again." The drone beeped. "You realize this is a violation of your oath?" Kayla leaned forward, her voice ice cold. "Is the truth also a violation?" The officer stiffened. "Truth is what keeps us safe." Kayla smiled, the kind of smile that only comes after something inside breaks. "No. Lies do. Truth just threatens the wrong people." The officer stood. "You've been reassigned. Your access is suspended." Kayla stood too. "You'll have to do more than that to stop me." And with that she walked out, not waiting for permission. That night Kayla returned. She wasn't supposed to be there, but she hacked the system, unlocked the cell. Eli looked up, surprised to see her again. "You came back?" Kayla nodded. "We don't have much time." "For what?" "For escape." Eli blinked. "You realize they'll hunt you too." "Let them," she said. "I've been hunting ghosts my whole life. Now I know where they hide." Eli stood slowly, still weak. "Why are you doing this?" he asked again. Kayla looked at him. This time her eyes didn't hold fear. They held fire. "Because enemies don't cry," she said. "And I saw you cry." Eli said nothing, but his eyes, for the first time, held something more than pain. Hope. Betrayal or truth? Kayla ran her fingers along the edge of the stolen access card. She stood outside the power control chamber, heartbeat steady, eyes sharp. One swipe, just one. Behind her, Eli leaned against the wall, bruised but alert. His voice was quiet. "Are you sure this will work?" Kayla didn't answer right away. Instead, she watched the cameras blink and cycle away. She had timed it perfectly. They had 13 seconds before the eyes returned. "No," she said finally. "I'm not sure, but we won't get another chance." She swiped. The door hissed open. Inside, rows of glowing servers hummed with energy. They were standing in the spine of the base. One overload would blind half the surveillance system. Eli followed her in, limping slightly. He looked around. "This doesn't feel like escape." "It's not," she said. "It's a message." She reached for the core panel and pulled out a small disk. The truth she had downloaded from the red channel. The footage, the orders, the cover-ups. All of it. She inserted it into the override slot. "When we shut this down," she whispered, "this data will copy itself into every terminal within 10 clicks. Eli stared at her. "You're going to leak it?" "Not just leak it," she said. "I'm going to bury them in it." He gave a short laugh. "I underestimated you." "Everyone does," she replied. "But that ends today." She reached for the trigger switch. Then the alarm screamed. They'd been found. They're inside Control Zone Delta. Commander Vrex snapped, pacing in front of the war table. "Agent Kayla has gone rogue," his aide said. And the human is with her. Vrex's jaw tightened. Seal the exits, gas the tunnels, and bring her to me alive. Alive, sir? Vrex leaned forward. She's more dangerous than the human now. Kayla and Eli sprinted through the maintenance corridor. Red lights flashed on all sides. The floor vibrated. A lockdown protocol had started. Eli gasped. They're sealing us in. Not yet, Kayla said, pulling him toward a side shaft. Suddenly, footsteps. Soldiers. Coming fast. Kayla ducked into the side panel and dragged Eli down into a crawl space. Pitch black, tight, and reeking of engine oil. They didn't speak. Above them, heavy boots thundered past. A voice shouted, "Check every level. Vrex wants her in chains." Eli exhaled slowly. "Your people are intense." Kayla's voice came like steel. "They're not my people anymore." 10 minutes later, they emerged into the emergency hangar. A dead zone no one used anymore. It was quiet. Too quiet. Kayla moved cautiously, motioning for Eli to stay back. A few feet ahead, she saw a figure waiting. Someone she knew. Officer Wren, her oldest friend. "Kayla," Wren said softly. "You need to stop this." Kayla froze. "You knew?" "I knew you were slipping, watching that human too closely, asking questions. You reported me. I had to. Vrex was going to pull you out either way." Kayla stepped forward. "I found the red channel, Wren." His jaw twitched. "I know what Vrex did. I know what we did." "So?" Wren said, voice low. "You think truth matters? You think people will believe a traitor and a human over order?" Kayla stepped closer. "Maybe not, but I'll give them the choice." Wren raised his weapon. "Don't make me stop you." Eli stepped beside Kayla, bruised but defiant. Wren blinked. "You're protecting him?" Kayla nodded. "No, I'm protecting what's left of me." A beat passed. Then Wren lowered his weapon. "You have 5 minutes before backup arrives," he said. "Go, before I change my mind." Kayla hesitated. "Why are you helping us?" Wren didn't answer right away. Then he whispered, "Because I saw the footage too," and turned his back. They ran, past the dead shuttles, past broken consoles, into a forgotten passage leading to the outer fence. But outside the last door, Kayla stopped. "Something's wrong," she said. Eli followed her eyes. Trip sensors, blinking like a trap waiting to spring. Eli looked at her. "We can't go through." Kayla's mind raced. "Unless—" She pulled out a flare beacon from her belt and set it on the ground. "They want us to use the door," she said. "So we won't." "Then how?" She pointed to the old vent system overhead. "I'll climb. You crawl through the secondary. Exhaust. We meet at the tree line." Eli paused. "And if we don't?" She looked at him. "Then one of us keeps running." They split. Eli crawled through the narrow shaft, every muscle aching. The metal was cold and sharp. His breath came in shallow bursts. Somewhere above, footsteps echoed. Then a hiss. Gas. He picked up speed. Kayla reached the vent exit and dropped down silently into the outer trench. Freedom was less than 100 meters away. She waited. 1 minute. 2. No Eli. Then, movement. He stumbled out, coughing, barely standing. She caught him before he fell. "You made it." Eli smiled weakly. "Almost didn't." She looked back. No alarms, no soldiers. But she knew. This wasn't over, not even close. The escape plan. The desert beyond the Ziran base was not a place meant for life. Gray skies, black dust, jagged, rocks shaped like broken teeth. The old war had scorched the land and nothing had grown back since. Kayla held her coat tight against the wind as she helped Eli across a shallow ridge. He was bleeding again. The old wound on his side had reopened. During the crawl through the gas vents, "We need shelter," she said. Eli gave a faint nod. "I know a place." "If it's still standing." They kept moving. Behind them, there were no sirens. No drones. Yet. But Kayla knew silence was worse than noise. It meant the hunters had already been sent. Not soldiers. Something else. After an hour, they found a ruined outpost built into the cliffside, one of the old relay towers from the First Contact War. The metal door creaked, half buried under years of sand. Inside, the air was dry but safe. Walls rusted, lights dead. They found a dusty cot, a cracked screen, and a med kit sealed with a rusted human military tag. Eli collapsed onto the cot, breathing heavy. Kayla opened the med kit and started cleaning his wound. "You've done this before?" he asked. "More times than I wanted to." "You were field trained?" "I was trained to survive," she said. "There's a difference." Eli gave a weak smile. "You're good at it." "So are you," she replied. "You just bleed more." After stitching the wound, she sat back, exhausted. They shared a protein bar, half crushed in Eli's pocket. Silence settled for a moment. Then Eli broke it. "This place, I was stationed here once, before the treaty talks broke." Kayla looked around. "It doesn't look like much." "It was never about the building. It was about the person in it." Kayla raised an eyebrow. "My brother," Eli said. "He was posted here. He was the one who taught me to build, to question, to protect." He stared at the wall. "He died trying to deliver the first human Zera peace draft. They never told us who intercepted him." Kayla said nothing, but her chest ached with the weight of a truth she could never unlearn. Night came. Kayla dozed lightly, but something pulled her awake. A sound, soft, metallic, not natural. She grabbed her weapon and moved silently toward the entrance. Then she saw it, a shadow moving beyond the rocks. Tall, not quite human, not quite Zeran, a hunter-class biomech. Her breath caught. They hadn't sent soldiers. They had sent Project Ashline. Inside, Eli sat up, coughing. "What is it?" Kayla locked the door. "They found us." "How long?" "Minutes." Eli stood wincing. "Then we don't wait." Outside, the biomech crouched. Its body was plated with black armor and veined with red energy. Its hands were long, clawed. Its face was eyeless, a scanner where a mouth should be, and across its shoulder, etched in worn lettering, Unit A01. Project Ashline. Status Silencer. It had only one command: erase all evidence. Kayla and Eli burst out the back hatch, sliding down the rocky slope. The biomech turned, locked on. It moved like lightning. Kayla pulled Eli behind a fallen transport. She turned to him. "You said your brother was posted here?" "Yes." "Did he have a kill switch?" Eli blinked. "What?" "These models," she said, pointing toward the biomech. "They were man-made, not purely Zeran. That means someone gave them an off-code." Eli's eyes widened. He used to carry a command ring, embedded in his glove. Kayla scanned the area. "Where?" Eli pointed toward a cave just past the ridge. "Supply vault. Sealed storage. If it's still intact." Kayla grabbed his arm. "Can you make it there?" "Only if you cover me." She nodded. "Go." As Eli limped across the open ridge, Kayla drew the biomech's attention. She fired twice. Plasma bolts sparking off its armor. It turned, charged. Kayla ran. She ducked under broken cables, dove behind rock spires. The thing moved like death, never pausing, never breathing. It didn't need to. Meanwhile, Eli reached the supply vault, a buried bunker half collapsed. He ripped open the hatch, crawling inside. It was dark. Metal creaked. His hands fumbled through broken crates, torn bags. Then a glove, old, burnt. Inside, the cold shape of a ring device. He slipped it on, prayed it still worked. Outside, Kayla was pinned. The biomech towered over her. It raised one arm, charging an energy blade. Kayla stared up, breathing hard. "Do it," she muttered, before the strike fell. A click, a voice behind them. "Eli, override code." Ephraim 9 Alpha blackout. The biomech froze, its lights flickered, its blade shut down. Then it slowly knelt. Kayla stared, wide-eyed. Eli stepped forward, panting. His name was Ephraim. My brother. He left me the key. Kayla looked at him, then at the machine. What? Now? Eli reached for the unit's core and removed the chip. Now we bury this monster. Later, as dawn crept over the Deadlands, Kayla and Eli stood at the edge of a cliff, watching the wind carry ash over the horizon. Eli held the chip, once a weapon, now just a dead shard of memory. Why did they build those things? Kayla asked. Eli didn't look away. Because they thought fear was faster than truth. Kayla nodded slowly. But truth lasts longer. They stood together, two fugitives, two survivors, bound not by war but by the story only they now carried, and they both knew the real fight was still ahead. He wasn't the monster. A storm was coming, not a natural one, but a storm of truth. It spread first as a glitch, one server, then 1,000, then the entire Xeran central grid. Videos played without warning. Classified messages leaked into public channels, images of experiments, abandoned children, drone strikes hidden behind false flags. And at the heart of it all, one face. Kayla's. Standing, in front of a cracked camera, voice steady, eyes unblinking. This is the truth you were never meant to see. I was one of you, trained to fear them, taught to hate them. And then I met one. He wasn't what they said. He wasn't the monster. But I might have been. Within hours, the entire colony network was burning, not in fire but in questions. And in the capital chamber of high command, Kayla stood in chains. The room was vast and silent. Hundreds watched. Some officers, some civilians, others, something. In between, Eli sat in the back, guarded but not bound. They didn't know what to do with him. Not yet. He wasn't a prisoner. Not anymore. Maybe not ever again. Commander Vrex stood at the front. His voice cut through the silence like a blade. You betrayed your people. Kayla didn't flinch. No, she said calmly. I exposed their betrayal. Vrex turned to the crowd. This human manipulated her, twisted her mind. They are experts in infiltration. Eli stood, his voice echoed. I didn't have to twist anything. She just opened her eyes. A murmur swept the chamber. Vrex raised a hand. You broke protocol, he snapped at Kayla. You stole data. You released military secrets. And I would do it again, she replied. Because for the first time I saw the enemy and it was wearing our uniform. The crowd shifted, some nodding, some silent. Vrex stepped forward. You claim this human, this Eli, is innocent? Kayla looked at Eli, then back at the crowd. No, she said. He's not innocent, he's scarred, broken, haunted by what he's seen. Just like me, just like all of you. A pause. But being broken doesn't make you the monster. Outside the chamber, protesters gathered. Some demanded Kayla's execution. Others called her a hero. Most just didn't know what to believe anymore. Inside, the council whispered. A decision was coming, not just about Kayla, but about everything. Commander Vrex stepped back, voice colder now. You may have turned the public, but that changes nothing. Truth without order is chaos, and chaos must be controlled. Kayla raised her head. Truth doesn't destroy order. It rebuilds it. Stronger. Vrex's fist slammed the podium. You speak like a traitor. And then, for the first time, Eli stepped forward. Past the guards. They didn't stop him. He spoke. Not loudly, not with anger. Just clarity. My brother died trying to bring peace. He wasn't a soldier in the end, he was a messenger, a dreamer. Eli looked around the chamber, at the people, not the power. They killed him to silence his message. Now it's being heard. He reached into his coat and placed something on the floor in front of the council. A child's toy, charred but recognizable. The same toy Lyra had held in the photo. Eli's voice trembled. She survived. We saved her. And we were punished for. Garcia, the chamber was still. Then Kayla spoke again, quieter. You want someone to blame? Blame the silence that let it happen. Blame the systems that fed us lies. But don't blame the ones who chose to see. The lead counselor, old, sharp-eyed, leaned forward. And what would you have us do now? Kayla's answer was clear. Listen, learn, and let go of the war that ended long ago. The council went into private session. Eli returned to his seat. Kayla waited, still in chains. The storm still raged outside, but it was shifting, not burning, cleansing. An hour later, the council returned. The room fell silent. The lead counselor spoke. Kayla Zareth, for your actions you are stripped of rank. Your titles, your command, and your records will be sealed. Kayla exhaled, ready for punishment. But the counselor continued. However, you will not be imprisoned. Instead, you are reassigned as envoy to the new alliance. You will serve as the first bridge between humans and Zirans. Your punishment is to lead. Kayla looked up, stunned. Eli smiled faintly. And the human? Frex asked, voice bitter. The counselor nodded toward Eli. He is free, and if he chooses, he may serve. Outside, as the chamber emptied, Kayla and Eli stood together on the balcony. The wind was different now, not warm, but no longer cold. What now? Eli asked. Kayla looked out over the horizon. Now we begin. And them? He asked, glancing at the watchers still staring from the shadows. Kayla smirked. They'll keep watching, waiting, doubting, a pause. But eventually they'll see what I saw. Eli tilted his head. What's that? She turned to him. That you weren't the monster. A long silence followed. Then Eli said, neither were you. Far away on a different world, a child played in the dust near a refugee shelter, a girl with black eyes, a worn toy in her hand, a scar across her wrist from a day she barely remembered. She looked up at the sky, and for the first time in her life, it didn't look dangerous. It looked like home.